All right. Hello, everyone. We're back.
We are back.
This is Laura Lee Mystica. You can find her information on firstwaveindigos.com, as well as 20 other different websites. The links will all be in the description. I'm Daniel Flowerdew. You can find me at Flower Power Clinical Massage, and same thing, my website's in the description. So yeah, come in and check us out. You know, buy some of Laura Lee's books and rocks. You can never go wrong with these things. The more the merrier. So, and who doesn't want to hang out with us and just see us, right? So
I know. We
reach out.
We talk about so many weird things.
Yeah, and we have some doozies set aside for you guys today.
Really
we have some good ones here. So, yeah, why don't you go ahead and start with...
Okay.
Yep.
These are weird shit symptoms, okay? And maybe some of you guys have the same ones. And so if you do, then you won't feel left out, okay? You won't feel quite so special.
Oh, and before we begin as well, we wanted to let you guys know that as soon as we got started to do this video, we're getting attacked like crazy. So if we mess up on our words or, you know, just laugh along with us, have fun, and...
if anything weird happens... Yeah, we're doing our best.
Yeah, and there are a lot of chipmunks running around, so we might be a little distracted, but we're here. Okay. Okay, go ahead. I just wanted to throw that in before we forgot again.
First of all, about the eye bags, and you know, I'm not like obsessed with eye bags or anything. You might think I am, but I'm not. Okay, these are weird shit symptoms, and as I said on the last one, they literally popped out overnight. Like I've had kind of baggy eyes, you know, just sort of kind of, but not like. And they popped out overnight, and I've done all of these things, all these natural remedies. I've taken assholes off my tail, and I haven't got the recipe right, so I'm still working on that, okay? And so just saying, eye bags can be weird shit, especially if they pop out overnight for no reason, okay?
And during the video that we scrapped as well, you know, when we were first recording, you know, we did 2 videos that day. The first video we did, your eye bags were totally fine. And when we got to the second one, they were really puffy, they were huge, and then your eyes were black as well. So it wasn't just like overnight either. It was literally within minutes.
In minutes.
It was really, really fast, and that's not...
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so... I just wanted to go over some of the weird symptoms I've had, and recently, like in the past year, I'll be holding my mouse, you know, at the computer, and all of a sudden, my fingers feel weird, like they're rubbing on comfrey or something like that with little stickers. And I look at my fingers and there's nothing there, and I brush them off, and I brush the mouse off, and I get back on it, and it's
still there.
So, and I haven't figured that one out. So these are mysteries. Maybe we'll get them figured out, and then we can tell everybody. And then, I don't know, I kind of heard of other people having this, where all of a sudden it feels like you have a hangnail that got ripped off, and it's sore, and it's oozy. The first time I had that, I was wearing gloves, and I took the glove off. I'm thinking, how could I get a hangnail ripped off when I've been wearing gloves? And I looked at it, and there was nothing wrong with it, and it wasn't oozing, but it still felt like it. You know, the wind had come by, and it would kind of get cold. And I haven't figured that out, but I think it does have something to do. I think you and I were talking about the fluid.
Yes, yeah. There was a video that came across to both of us about this. I think he was in a super soldier program, and he was talking about how they used that fluid from hangnails to create clones. So,
yeah. So maybe maybe I've got more clones out there that I didn't know about.
That'll be another thing for us to look into.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that one.
It's always possible. I had like 5 a few days ago that I found in Terminated, so you know, this shit does happen. It's the Terminator. Oh goodness!
I love that. Okay. So then I've had things where and some of this was psychic attack, and I knew who it was because I knew that they were like on my tail. But I would be walking along, just walking across the living room, and all of a sudden, something like hit my knee, and I'm on the ground. And that happened sometimes when I was walking up and down the stairs, and that can be really challenging when you got all this stuff in your arms and you're walking down the stairs and. So,
and if it was a normal thing, and if it was something that wasn't a word chip symptom, you would have signs of that beforehand too. It wouldn't be just out of the blue, all of a sudden you're down, and then totally okay.
And
for
then
weeks.
20 minutes later, I'm fine. And it's not the weather, it's not arthritis. It's, and sometimes I've felt like somebody's like sticking me with a porcupine quill or something, and I'm like, ow! you're like, what is it?
Get a little poke in the side or in the arm.
Mine is a lot of times on my feet when I got shoes on.
A lot of times when I have that happen, it's right in the ribs, like right in the side, and it'll make you kind of jump to the side and be like,
exactly,
like feeling like you have a bee in your shirt or something. And
you really do. You think you do. But when you've got shoes on, and it's inside your shoe, that's that's not normal. It ain't right. It just ain't right.
It ain't right. And I'm only laughing because I know what story is going to be coming later. So, talking about something in your shoe.
Oh,
but
yes,
we'll get to that.
Thing,
so.
Yeah. And recently, I've had this thing where all of a sudden, and it's usually in my right eye, I'll feel like somebody pepper sprayed it, and I'm like, it's oozing and crying, and it burns like crazy. And I usually use catalyst water with Aurora Light water to spray it, and that usually fixes it. But it comes on like that, and in 10 minutes it's gone. It's not. So it's and there's nothing. Sometimes it happens when I'm at the computer. Sometimes it happens when I'm doing dishes. It's not like it's. If it was in the computer all the time, I'd say, okay, you got that from the computer, because I have gotten hit from the computer. It's been like 2 years, maybe, I can't remember, where I'm at the computer and all of a sudden everything starts waving. And I'm like, what's wrong here? And within minutes, I got really sick and dizzy. And I was like curled up in a ball most of the night, just trying to not move and not breathe very much, because
just trying to not get sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I found out that was some kind of really evil mirrors that were from another dimension that could come through, and it did come through my computer, and it can nail you. And if I hadn't, and I was throwing up. I was down on the floor, and my husband brought me.
It was not good.
It was
not good. I remember when that was all happening, and it was.
I was down for about a day and a half, like down, like I was laying on the chair all night. I couldn't move and didn't want to move, and sick, and had a puke bucket right next to me. It was really bad. And then once we found out what it was, we went after the mirrors and whoever created them, and I haven't seen many people get.
Weren't those the creepsters? Weren't those the
I think
the twins?
they were the ones that created those. High level, up close to the D monster kind of thing. And then, let's see, we had gotten rid of most of it, and then like a month later, I was looking at the rug in the bathroom, and then the rug started to shake, and I'm like, oh no, we're not doing this again.
Not again.
And so I kept doing screw you losers, up here's losers. I was on it. I was not having that. And I got a little sick, but nothing like I did the first time. And we had another indigo friend that she ended up in the hospital with the same thing.
Yeah.
And she was sick for days. And the hospital's not going to do anything for you. That didn't work out
they didn't
so
even
well.
have any idea what was wrong with her.
No, they didn't. They just kept her there for observation. They didn't know what it was. So yeah. So
which is another sign that it's weird shit, when it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, doctors don't know everything anyway. You know,
Well,
there's
usually
still
they'll give
so
you a
much to
drug.
learn.
They'll
But
say, "Well, here,
uh,
take this, and go play on the freeway. Get out of my office, but pay me first,
pay me first, and then go
and
play
then
on the
go
freeway.
away."
Yep. But if you go play on the freeway, don't take the drugs before, because I don't want to be tied to it.
That's right. That's right.
Sorry. Yep.
Well, and then I felt, and I've heard of a lot of people that feel like you've got little tiny bugs crawling on you like lice, and you look and there's nothing there. It's not there. So when that happens, what do you say? Screw you, losers! Up yours, losers! I'm not buying it.
Yep.
Just remember that.
And you know, a lot of times people aren't even aware this is happening. Like, we were talking about this today, and I was like, I don't know if I ever experienced any of those. And I started thinking about it, and it's like, no, it does. It happens pretty regularly, but a lot of times I'm like, it's just inconsequential. It's just a little tiny,
Annoyance.
It's more of an annoyance than anything.
Yeah.
Like the picture I'm getting in my head is of a horse that has flies flying around them. They just swat away with their tail.
Like,
oh,
whatever.
okay, this is just all day, every day. Yep.
So, and that's kind of how I am too. But recently I've been more cognizant. It's like, okay, I want to go after these buggers. Yeah, you're annoying me, but you don't need to be, and I don't need to let you. So.
Yep. If we swat at flies and mosquitoes, let's go after these etheric little boogers. Yeah, whatever they are. Yeah.
Well, then we've had a lot of weird shit happen on the property, like a lot. And one time, I don't think we've talked about this. Daniel was here working with me, and we were in and out of the back gate where the foo-foos are, and then I think Daniel was the last one to go out of that gate.
To go and close it. Yep.
And I came back the next morning, and the gate was like hanging, like.
And it wasn't like that when I hung it up there, by the way. It was not like that.
It was not.
No.
And the zip ties that were holding it to the post were cut, like in the same place. There was only one zip tie left. Now, I don't know what kind of animal could have done that.
And the way you were explaining it to me too, because I wasn't there when Laura Lee discovered
when I found
this,
it, yeah.
but the way you made it sound like they were all cut in the exact same spot
They were.
too. So how would an animal do that?
I don't
that's
know.
very, very
if an animal.
weird
Well,
odds.
you would think if the animal was going to do that, because some of them were broken on top and some on the bottom. It's like there's just one hanging there to hold it up. I don't know. It was just weird.
And it's not really a spot that an animal would care to break into either, because all the chickens were in their coops. There was no way to get in. So there would have been nothing for them.
And they would have had to have gotten over the other fence to get to that one. It's not like it would be.
So most animals wouldn't even really go through that kind of hassle.
So that was just weird shit.
Like, a deer could have jumped over it and knocked the fence, but it's a wire fence, so it wouldn't. It would just jiggle. It wouldn't break anything. It wouldn't. There's really no reason for those to have been broken.
Well, then we have in the same pan, up their water bowl. I put it out in the morning, and then a few hours later, it's like moved like 10 to 12 feet to the left and kind of back by the tree.
And it still had water in it.
And it still had water in it.
And this is a pretty good sized bowl too. This isn't one of those cheap little
tiny
metal bowls.
No, it's
this
like
is like a big
yeah.
dog dish, like, really heavy plastic, really thick. And we were laughing about it today because we were like, we could see Shaniqua trying to move it.
Yeah.
But, she's a big duck. But if she did, there would be no water. It would be totally flipped over. It would be everywhere. There wouldn't be...
and I could see it if it was like just maybe 2 or 3 inches moved over. I could see that. But, 10 feet away? That was just weird stuff. Okay, and then this weird thing happened. This was like 10 years ago. I was, driving into town, out in the valley, and there's a place where you're going straight, and then there's a T and you have to turn left or right, and then there's a mountain up there. Well, I'm trekking along, getting closer, and all of a sudden, my car, I took my foot off the gas to put on the brake, and instead of braking, it accelerates.
And you've been driving for a few years,
Yeah,
so you
I've
know
been
the
driving
difference between which
the
one is
brake
gas
and the gas,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And I'm like, shit.
And
So-
it wasn't going downhill either,
No,
so there was no.
it was like
yeah.
straight. It wasn't. And so I started tapping the brake and yelling at Hal. I said, "Hal, help me!" and then the brakes, you know, they make that grindy sound, and that started happening. But tapping them fixed it. I don't know, but I could hear the engine revving up. It wasn't like just accelerating. It was like, "Argh!" Like, what the hell? When I turned on, it was just so weird. But then finally tapping it, and I did come to a stop before I got to the T, or I don't know what could have happened if it would have kept revving up like that. So I took it to the shop, and they couldn't find anything wrong with my brakes. And the guy checked my feet to see if my feet were big, and maybe I slipped off the gas or the brake and hit the gas. And he says, "Well, I don't think you could push on both of those at the same time." So that's a little WS. Do you have any little WS before we go into that WS?
Well, a lot of times, one thing that I'll experience is when I'm doing energy work for someone, a lot of times I'll get very dizzy, or like even here sitting right now, there have been times where I feel completely out of body, and I'm just like, no, I'm getting back in. I've been sitting here working at myself, getting back into body, but I keep feeling like I'm being displaced, or like kind of drugged almost. It's a very weird feeling, but that is a weird shit thing that does not happen to me any other time. Just when I'm doing something that could be beneficial for others. Yeah, when I'm doing something important, that's the only time it happens. So
and speaking of drugs, we'll be talking about drugs later.
yes. If we don't get to it in this video, we will
in another one. Yeah.
Or in another one, because it is a very important topic. Oh yeah, then also the board breaking. So inside of the baby's chicken coop, there's this board put across for them to be able to perch on, right? And it's in there pretty good. But there was one day Laura Lee went out to it, and it was completely like pushed off, and it was down slanted, it was dangling. So I was coming up a few days later, so she put it back the way it was and was like, "Move this and see if you can move it." And it was not easy to move. So it's like, how did little babies, there would be no way for little baby chickens to do that. They didn't even weigh 2 pounds at the time, so they were just
barely out there. They'd only been there for like one day or something. They hadn't been there that long. So yeah, that was some weird shit.
So that was another thing that was weird shit. And all of these things that I was here for as well, we would go through and we would use our abilities to see, okay, was this an animal? Was this something else? And like the water bowl one with the big water dish that was moved 12 feet, we found like some weird clone of you that picked it up and moved it. And all of the birds, when it happened too, they were all on the other side of the pen. They were all kind of freaked out. So,
there was some weird shit. I didn't know it was a clone of me. Was it a clone of me that moved?
I don't remember if it was exactly a clone. It was some sort of projection that was supposed to look like you, though. It was really weird. It was a while back too, so I don't remember exactly.
I would like to meet that clone to come and help me on this farm.
I know, right?
Don't just move stuff around. Help me,
If you're gonna move stuff around, go move this thing, Move the food closer to the pin, make it, make my job
help
easy.
Me right.
yeah.
I've always wished for that. I've wished that I could clone myself, and then you get up in the morning and say, okay, let's see, we've got this, and this, and this to do. So you go do this, you do this, you do this, I'll do this, and then when we're all done, we'll come back together and we'll party.
Yep. As a massage therapist, there's a lot of times where I'm like, I wish I had a clone or two just so that way we can give each other massages, because...
Oh yeah, when you're all done working, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It is very exhausting.
But yeah, that's pretty much most of the weird shit that I experience. I do get the little bug sensation every once in a while.
Ears ringing.
And yeah, ears ringing a lot of times as well. Like before we started this video, I did a good screw you loser to the people who were attacking us.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did, there's a big bubble in my left ear right now.
Still there?
That's still there. Yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
Well, we're gonna make you so you can't hear.
And I'm like, it just makes me talk more quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, my phone probably appreciates that anyway.
So yeah, we get around that.
So some not weird
Not
shit
weird
symptoms,
this
things
is
that
so
seem
funny.
strange that
This
ended
is
up
so
having
funny. So last winter, I get up and put my boots on, and I thought there was rocks or something in there. And so I go do my thing, and finally I'm like, okay, I got to take these rocks out of there. Well, I dumped it out, and it wasn't rocks. It was little pieces of grain that we have one flock that didn't like them, so they would eat everything else and leave these little, they look like little shafts of wheat. So they would leave them, and so I thought, how did they get here? Well, then 2
the
days
chicken
later,
coop
chicken
is
coop's
way over
far
there.
away, and I'm like, what?
where
what
the
heck?
shoes are is way on the other side. So it
Yeah.
couldn't be just flung over there.
No. Well, then a couple of days later, same thing. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to dump these out and put them in a little cup, and so I can show people what it was. Well, I'm thinking it was the squirrels that did that because they just gathered them up where they were sitting and thought, I'm gonna squirrel these away, have them for later. Okay, so then I had to take some things to the recycle center and to the dump. And so we go down there. It's about, 20, 25 minutes there and 25 minutes back. And so I get down there, and I was with my husband, and he gets out and he puts all the recycled stuff away. And then on the way back, I'm feeling this thing in my shoe. Now I was going to bring the shoes. I have those like big, they're cloggy kind of shoes. And so there's a little room in my toes, but I could feel something moving in there. And I thought, it's weird shit. And then it just kept doing it. And I'm like, kind of reaching down, and I'm like, it's just weird shit. And I just keep driving, and it's no big deal. So finally I get home, and I take my shoe off, and a little frog jumps out.
Poor little frog. Poor little frog. Stuck in your shoe for an hour.
Trying to wiggle and get out. I felt so bad. He hops away down the porch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that wasn't weird shit. That was
that one was not weird shit. That
was not weird shit. So
for once.
For once. That's exactly what I was thinking. For once, it wasn't weird shit. It was a little frog.
It was a poor little frog that's probably traumatized. But he never went back in your shoes afterwards.
He never did. He did. He started smelling those shoes and going, I am not going anywhere near that.
I remember this place.
It's a bad place. Don't go there. Oh my. So, I don't know. Should we go into the scorpions next? Or
yeah, let's go ahead and go into the scorpions.
Okay.
So we have a fun little short story to share with you guys. To kind of preface this, these scorpions are also related, or were also related, to the rage beasts that came out from the Montauk Project that was talked about in the interview with Nancy and Laura Lee, the Inside Insights. I don't remember which episode.
I don't either.
But it's
Middle
worth
one.
watching.
Yeah,
watch all those too.
Good.
They're all great. So did you want to go ahead and share the story about how you found them?
Yeah.
And
One of my clients, it's also HRT. She'd been trying to get a hold of me for several days, and I was just busy. And she said, there's something, my daughter's not doing very well. She was, she just went into a rage, and it was hard to control her. And I said, okay. And so finally I was able to get a session with her, and it was way worse than what I thought. And
And this kid's 11 years old.
12.
12.
No,
12.
Wait. She's 12, almost 13.
Okay.
So, and apparently this...
Either way, very young.
Yes.
Very young.
And apparently this had been going on since she was a year old. I did not know this about her. And something would trigger her and she would just go ballistic. And they couldn't hold her down. They were afraid she'd throw things and she'd go after her little siblings. And the parents were always walking on eggshells because they never knew when she was going to go off.
But what's strange about that is when she was in school, she was totally fine.
She was fine.
She was just a perfect little girl, just a little princess. Yeah.
Yes, and apparently they were advised by CPS to call the police when she did this.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as the police had come, she just absolute angel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hello, officer. Can I help you?
And I can imagine the house was in complete disarray, broken
things
separate.
all over the
Hi, how are
place.
you
So they
doing?
think it's the parents when it's this kid that went ape shit. So I'm just like, okay, there's something that ain't right about this. And
then the cops told them to call the CPS.
Yes.
And it's like, no, they told us to call you.
Exactly. It's like everybody wants to pass the buck on this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was really challenging because they've been taking these classes to try to manage this, and their whole stance is to not engage. And I can kind of see that, but when your kid's going after the other kids and throwing things and being destructive, you have to roll them up in a blanket or something, and so and it was real bad. I mean, the poor family, and they're blaming themselves for not being calm enough, which it wasn't their fault at all. And I said, no, a kid's going crazy on the rest of the kids. You can't just sit there. And so I started looking into it, and I had heard that there was kind of this epidemic of some kind of a scorpion that would get in the back of your head and connect to the reptilian brain. So
yeah, and it's not 3D physical. It's not 3D physical. So a lot of people who watch this that aren't used to weird shit, entities and whatnot, they're going to be like, oh, no one has a scorpion in the back of their head. Well, they did. It's just not one that you can see unless you don't look with your physical eyes.
Exactly. Thanks for that. So I quarantined everybody and everybody here on the property because I knew that this was bad. And when I quarantined the scorpion, I was going to say centipede. He always tries to do that.
One of those bugs.
So
it's this
sound.
The Sorry, go ahead. Okay, so you're quarantining the scorpion.
I have, every time I was trying to relate this story before we got rid of it, I couldn't remember the word scorpion.
At all.
The S word, the you know what I'm talking about. It's scorpion, yes. So what the egg was doing is turning like clockwise.
Instead of spinning like this, it was
turning clockwise. And what that was doing is unwinding it out of her head. And so it just kept unwinding till it was gone, and then it was out. I had an egg around her, so there's an egg around her, and then this little egg that was taking the scorpion out. And then exterminated that. And then she says, I'm seeing something like at the feet. And so I was looking there, and she said something in the heel in the middle of the foot, and it was like this, some kind of a
some kind of reptilian.
Well, it was a portal, some kind of portal that would do that. And yes, it was a reptilian. So when I finally egged him, he started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and kind of laughing or something. It's like, you can't contain me. And I was a little concerned because it started getting really big. And then it started getting bigger and bigger. And then like huge, like out in space big. And what the eggs were doing, you know, he wasn't messing with the eggs were messing with him. What the eggs were doing is forcing him to get bigger, and he got so big he became dysfunctional. You know, you get big as, you know, from here to the next planet, you're dysfunctional. And it
especially
really
when your entire job is based on secrecy, on not being seen. So
That's so true. That's so true. So this kind of concerned this guy. So then,
what a poor little scorpion, but not so little anymore.
Oh no, this wasn't the scorpion. This was the reptoid.
The
The scorpion I had to unscrew. Okay, so the reptoid we got. So we got the reptoid. Then finally, when it got really big, and this reptoid was, you could tell he was scared because he had no control over his size. Well, then the egg goes, and he was like this big. So then the egg got all of his data, just like with the scorpion. Got all the data, gave him their karma, and then poof. Well, that was good. We found out that immediately this little girl started feeling better. And the mom was really, really happy. And she was really happy that you were going to work on, because the mom said, okay, but we need to get rid of all of these because we found out that there was 2 billion of these boogers out there hurting people. And so there was something. So anyway, there's something else.
Yeah, and I was coming by just in time. I was going to be there like 2 days later. So we just decided we would deal with it when we got here. And that takes us to the next part of this story, where we went across the entire hologram to get rid of all these things. Well, there were only a few people that had immunities to them in the first place, but most people who have been in sort of any secret space program or super soldier program ended up having these because it was one of the control systems to keeping people to flip into those...
rage.
Yeah, flipping into the rage and getting into those different altered egos that are specialized in going berserker crazy.
Yeah.
So
and they are related to the berserkers.
Yes.
They are like besties.
Yeah. The berserkers that had the scorpions were a lot better at their job. And these scorpions were also very closely related to the Kundalini system, the Kundalini snakes. In a lot of ways, when I was feeling into them initially, it was like they were going through the Kundalini system, and that was kind of how they were getting their access into the entire nervous system through the back of the head. It wasn't just that one spot. They were accessing everything through that system.
So this whole system was head to toe, literally head to foot. Head to foot. They got you covered. Okay.
And I can imagine that the parents also would agree with that, because she was kicking and screaming.
Now, what's interesting about that is that I kept asking her. I said, have you ever been? Because I kept getting that the scorpion was throwing like fluid or something on them, or scratching them. And she later said yes, that she had been burnt by the scorpion and the scorpion poison. And then she said her daughter had scratched her, not just with her fingers but with her toes. Toes.
Like, how do you do that? Sounds like someone needed a pedicure, because if they're
Yes,
long enough,
yes.
you
Well,
can
that's
do
what
that.
she said. Honey, you gotta go trim those nails. But so she had enough coordination in her toes when she was wigging out to cause serious damage when she was doing that. But she said she felt both the claws, and she said there was places that she felt burnt or scratched, that when they were way far away from her, she didn't touch them at that time. And so she said, yes, that poison that you're talking about, yeah, I definitely felt that.
Now, I wonder, have you gotten any feedback from her on if her daughter's freaked out since then?
She hasn't.
It's been over a week.
It's
been over a week.
Yeah.
And she used to do that like every other day or every day. Like,
well,
it was frequent.
It would depend. Yeah, it was frequent. It would be, I think it'd be a lot, and then a few, and then a lot, and they never knew. There wasn't like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
It wasn't after school any day, just every day and random days. Yeah,
anytime.
Yeah. So, another thing that was interesting about this scorpion and the reptoid is there were 100 people that had remotes to access and utilize these reptoids and scorpions. They didn't have to qualify to have it. They only had to have the money to buy it.
Which is funny. It's like, okay, I'm badass. Can I have some? It's like, no, you don't have enough money. You have to have money too, or you don't get it.
You could be the smartest person in the world. You could have all of these, you can be the most conniving person in the world, but unless you have the money to back it up, you could not access these remotes.
Right.
And
we didn't know. It was so cool when we found out who it was.
Yeah. If you think of some of the rich global elitists, you will kind of know who has them. We could probably name a few of them, but we don't want to get banned.
Who was in charge of it? When we found out who was in charge, that made perfect sense.
Okay, so a while back, Laura Lee and I were working on this portal that was supposed to bring in more of a plague type energy, or wasn't it? Yeah, it was plague. It was plague. Well, we found this entity that was behind it that was from Home Team that I actually, not Home Team, but from outside the hologram that I knew. And he was behind these scorpions. We already took him to zero before we found these scorpions, but he was
bizarre and creepy, and he had the hots for the D monster.
D monster. So when I was looking into their relationship, the entire time she's like trying to shoot him in the face, she's trying to kill him. He's just like, oh, that was just a love tap. She loves me. She was just blowing me a kiss with a bullet. It's just, she loves me.
As evil as this guy is, I kind of had respect for him for annoying the D monster.
And he did. She tried to get rid of him, and she could not get rid of him. So...
But he had he was very intelligent, and he had a lot of wit, and he could, very calculative. So he could almost out-calculate her. I think she was kind of scared of him, really.
She was. Well, one of his teachers was Tesla. So Tesla and Zealok, they both had a hand in teaching him. So before he went completely evil, of course.
Charts.
So I'm going to read some of this note that we have from the scorpion thing here. Okay, so this network was not taken out with him, the person we were just talking about, because he had already sold ownership to global elite wealth hoarders like Musk, Bill Gates, Soros, the Crown, and the list goes on. Hopefully they won't shut down this channel. And our stolen money that they took from us and from, people doing good in the planet, they used that money to buy these remotes.
And this is energetic. It's not like you and me are billionaires. No, it's that we had created billions of dollars, and they thought, oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, because money is energy.
It is.
So they siphoned off that energy and then used it to, So the scorpion poison has multiple effects, and it had over 50 different effects, including inflicting fear and terror. It would also make the host feel very powerful, like nothing could stop them, indestructible, just absolute berserker,
Which is what they love. They love to fear power, not just power, but power over things and people. That really gives them a charge. They're just sick and twisted.
Yep. People like that, if they don't have power over others, they don't have anything.
I know, they don't.
And that's really, really sad. They are real losers. They really don't have anything that makes them happy. They don't experience true happiness, and most of them are literally psychopathic, so they really don't feel happy. They just feel power.
They don't know what real happy is. They only know what this fake I have more than you have. That's what makes them happy.
I am more successful than you, so I must be better than you. So let me go talk shit about you while you go and make my drinks, So we ended up finding, 2 billion of these, and we took care of all of them at once. So the entity that we got rid of had 3 different labs, and he had a computer system that was connecting all 3 of them. And in order to shut it down, it had to be you, me, and then one person from the other side of the hologram. And we all had to have keys. We all had to put them in at the same exact time,
And
twist them
some
at
of
the
those
same
keys
time.
came from the outhouse.
Yeah. And those keys came
Yeah.
from Dee's outhouse, which was one of Zal, the entity that we got rid of. That was one of his favorite places. He loved it in there. For most people, it'd be a torture spot, but for him, it was like the perfect vacation.
And we talk about Dee's outhouse, like, is that the second?
I think so. Yeah.
It's one of them.
It's one of them. It's
if
one
you
of
look,
them.
you can find it on our YouTube channels. So,
so we had to turn them all off at the same time.
And a specific way, all at the same time, and then hit the button at the same time.
Yep. We had to count down. So, like, we would be like, okay, on the count of 3, put your key into the slot. On the count of 3, turn it to the right 2 degrees.
Exactly.
And then we had to wait 3 seconds after that, and then we had to hit the button at the same time. And what that did was that shut down the entire system for all the scorpions. It's funny because we have home team allies that their whole thing is breaking into computer systems, like the branch amoeba being. Whenever I have something like this I have to do, he's my main go-to. But he looked at this and he's like, I ain't touching it. I ain't touching this until we shut it all down. And then he jumped right in and finished the job and destroyed it.
That was funny because he's usually, the branch amoeba being can stretch and go just about anywhere. I mean, he can go out in space. He wouldn't have been scared with what the egg did, making him big. He would have thought, okay, that's just great because that's what he does is he stretches out all over and finds things. He's very good.
And where we're working with 5G technology on the planet right now, he's 11G or something. He's way ahead of the program. He's a lot more advanced than any of the technology here.
Very adept. And you can find out more about him in cryogenetics too.
Yes.
There's information about the branch amoeba being. He's cool. I like him.
And after we got rid of these, we were both completely thrashed.
Oh, we were so
I
tired.
drove home, which is like an hour drive, just about little shy of that, and I was falling asleep on the road. And it was like 6 p.m.
Yeah, it wasn't that late.
No, it wasn't that late, but it was also rush hour, so it was the worst time to be sleepy. And like we both went to bed early. I think you went to bed at 10:45.
10:45. I was in bed.
And
I never go to bed that early. I told him I haven't been to bed that early since I was 10.
And then you slept until 10:30 or 11 the next day.
Yeah, it was like 10:30. I was trashed. And it seemed like, okay, well that was nice. It was hard. It was hard doing it, but we must have been doing way more than what we thought we were to get that trashed after. That was very, very, because we usually get trashed on big things like that, but not that trash that we both have to go to bed.
I was done for 2 days. I had 2 days where I could not do anything. I was mentally dead, just physically exhausted, and I'm not even 30 yet. So if that gives you an idea, I should be
perking and
yeah, but no, it was a really intense mission and it took a lot.
So now there might be some kind of cousins or something. So if
Similar
you
technology.
find something, just know that the originals are gone. The biggest, baddest asses of this are gone.
Yeah.
So we're getting down to the barrel on this.
Yep, and we have met several other people since then as well that have had these scorpions at one point or another that all of a sudden just
felt better,
didn't have random anger that was unexplainable, just felt better.
Yeah. So I hope some of you did, and if you did, write about it in the comments so we can hear about it, or write to us if it's confidential, or that's cool.
yeah. Now, we've already gotten to the 45-minute mark just about, because this was just too much fun.
It was just too cool. But I would like to talk a little bit about that. We can go into it more, about your shirt.
Yeah, I'm wearing the You're Freaking Me Out shirt. Try to stand up so you can see the me out.
So cute. Me out.
And Laura Lee heard about this shirt, and we were like, oh, we should talk about the use of psychedelics like ayahuasca and cannabis, and, the list goes on. So we're going to give a short little blurb here about that. And
we'll talk more about it,
topic,
but it's a big topic. I had somebody wrote to me just recently and said that he has some kind of entities in him, and he said it first started after he did a ayahuasca ceremony. And I'm like, yeah. And he says his life has not been the same. Now, the thing with these drugs, they can be useful if you know who you're doing it with, you know where the drugs came from, you know how they are doing it, and how the drugs were grown, because all ayahuasca plants aren't nice. Some of them are little shitheads, you know. And if you ever do anything like that, it's like you only need one to go, so you can go, oh, there's all of these other dimensions out there. Oh, got it. You don't need to keep doing it over and over and over. And if you do one of these, man, you be real careful about who's doing it. Make sure they're reputable, because it's big business now. Big business. It's making lots of money, and you can mess yourself up for the rest of your life if you don't know how to untangle from that stuff. Yeah. And it's kind of the same with pot. If you'd like to. Yeah. Now, I haven't. Well, I did pot once, without knowing.
Without knowing, yeah. I did it a lot more than once. A lot more than once. There was about 7 years of my life where I was high 24/7 on cannabis, just never stopped. And during that time, I didn't really have any health reasons for doing it. It did start off me being like, oh, I want to do this so I can enhance my ability to meditate and use my psychic abilities. And it did that at first, but then I hit a glass ceiling. Then I hit a glass ceiling. When you're taking drugs like that, they'll take you to a certain level, but you can't really get much more above that until you cut it out of your system.
That's important for people to know.
If you're using it for spiritual growth, it'll only take you so far. And really,
and then it'll take you down.
And then it will take you down. And, there are better ways to access those dimensions. There are specific breathing techniques you can do to activate the DMT that's already being created by your body, so you can have a natural trip out where you're not actually taking any substances. And that can be safer. The issue is it still does take you out of body. And something else can come in while you're not home. But yeah, for those 7 years, I really didn't make any progress on my life. I was working fast food. I didn't really care to go to school, or, I didn't do anything to change my situation. It was like I was just unmotivated and just didn't care to do anything. Just wanted to stay home and play video games all day. And that was what I did. I would watch movies, and yeah. I wouldn't even do dishes. Like, it was not good. It was not good. Mom, if you're watching this, I apologize. That was terrible, and I should not have put you through that. I am so sorry.
Well, it's good that you can be so candid about this. It's like you were a little shithead.
Oh, I was. And
some of your friends that you didn't, how should we say, own up to your agreements with her, and had to sever ties, and you've now come back together. Which is really cool. Yeah.
And, thankfully for me, most of my friends were very supportive. I had a few, once I stopped smoking, that just stopped hanging out because that was all they really cared about. But I was very fortunate to have a few good friends that were like, oh, as long as you don't care if we smoke, we still want to have you around. We'll just go into a different room, or, we'll smoke before you come over, or, whatever. Which, they didn't want to get rid of me just because I stopped.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah. And a lot of them are very close friends. One of them I've had since kindergarten. Now, if a person has physical ailments and they're using cannabis to improve their way of life, I think that's one thing. If they're in a lot of pain, or they can't eat, or a lot of PTSD or trauma, But even then, if it is an emotional based illness, I do definitely suggest to people that, if you need the medications, do it as long as you need it, but do the work behind the scenes too. That way, eventually you can get off of that. And that's my own personal take on that, because I've yet to find anyone taking any sort of like SSRIs or anything that are actually happy on them. They drain you. They make you feel like a zombie a lot of times. They can help you to work through the trauma, but they're not a fix for it. And that's where things like the timeline therapy comes in, EMDR, tapping, even just talk therapy can help a lot, honestly.
Right.
Getting rid of the shove-ins and the shove-ons,
right.
shove-ons,
Which
implants.
a lot of times you get because you're on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like this fellow that wrote to me. It's like he was fine until he did ayahuasca, and then his life turned into a nightmare.
Yep.
So,
because all of those drugs, what they do is they take you, they change your consciousness. They change how you think. A lot of times they take you out of body. They're supposed to expand your consciousness. But what does that mean? Like, a lot of times by expanding, they mean they're going to just kick you out into this other dimension and good luck finding your way back.
Or kick you into the astral realm somewhere, some god-awful place, and then say, find your way home.
Yeah. It's good entertainment for them.
Yeah.
Here, we'll give you a big scratchy blanket to help you. That's another story, and we'll definitely have to do that another time, because that's a longer story and it's a good one.
Yeah.
So
we'll have you wear your shirt again, and then we'll
talk about it more. So bottom line from my perspective is, if you're using it for a physical reason, that's one thing. But if you're using it to hide from reality or to make your as an escape, it's not healthy. It's just not. It doesn't matter if it's alcohol. It doesn't matter what it is.
Maybe once or twice, but you got to do the work, or it's not going away. The drugs are not going to fix it.
And they're not going to help you fix your life. They're not going to help you create what you want. They're going to do what they did to me for years and keep you on the couch playing video games and eating Doritos with cheese on them. Let's put some cancer-causing agents with these cancer-causing agents. Why not?
That's right.
It's fun.
Yeah.
More the merrier, right?
That's right. And you'll die pretty soon, so it doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter. But, I think it's about time to end the video today. So we do want to share one more fun little body hack here. And this is a really good one just for anything, really. Do you want to go ahead and share it?
Well, I've known about this for a while, but your ears in reflexology. Yes. So this is your head. It's like a baby curled up in a womb. This is your head. This is the spine, and the arms and legs and the body are in here. And I'm not sure exactly where those are. I just know this is the head. So if you have a headache, start rubbing your ears, and you go like this and put some pressure in there and start rubbing them, and it'll calm you down. Or if you got some problems in there, like I must have neck problems, because that really hurts. So, and if you have children that are like all wired, if you just softly, do this, they'll go, oh, okay, that feels good. Okay, yeah, my head is feeling better. I think I'm sleeping now. Conk.
Yeah, and it's also great for people who have a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they can't sleep because they're just going. But if you just massage your ears gently, it does not take much. I like to even kind of pull on my ears, or get to the side and pull them. It not only helps with the drainage of the earwax, but also the lymphatic fluid, as well as all the other benefits of the reflexology of the body. So let's say you have ankle issues. You want to work like where your ear goes in and you have that little divot in through here. Right in through there is where the feet and legs are.
No.
So
ear reflexology, way better than me.
Says the person who taught reflexology for years. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. In all fairness, I did it a couple of days ago. So
okay, you're just new at it.
It's refreshed in my memory.
Oh, that's
So
good.
that's our little body hack for you guys this week. And also, if you guys have suggestions for body hacks or
Yeah, let us
things that are
know.
bothering you that you want to hack for, let us
Yeah.
know, and we'll
We're all ears.
we're all ears.
I just saw a picture of a big elephant with big ears.
Oh, I bet they love ear
I bet they love
reflexology.
that.
Oh,
Oh
I
my
bet they would
gosh.
love
Okay,
that.
so for all ears. Okay, this is going bad. You
Okay.
guys have a good week.
Have a good
month,
one. All right.
Good day. Have a good one. Bye.